Surprise! Hey, what's happening, everyone? It is I, the man, the myth, the mustache, Tim here, and I know what you're thinking. You're not the usual guy who does these videos. Well, I'm hijacking the series just for a little bit. So, anyway, welcome to part 4 of What If Yuji Itadori Was in My Hero Academia. So please, sit back and relax because you are in for a treat. With that little intro out of the way, let's get on with the story, shall we? The battle trial for Class 1A's foundational skill of heroics class was long gone. Days after, the students were to have another lesson called the Trial of Rescue. Ida and Yaoyorozu had been elected as the class representative and assistant representative, respectively. Much to Itadori's displeasure, who wanted to be the class president himself. Geared in their hero costumes, the students took in the view of the USJ where their lessons would take place. The grounds accounted for nearly every accident or disaster the students could possibly encounter. The students would have to use their quirks to now save lives in this lesson. Space Hero 13 admonished the students who listened with rapt attention, all but one at least. Mahito was focused, but not on 13. He was listening tentatively to someone over the comms, after relaying information as to where the class would be today. The boy was delighted in how much fun the whole class would be in for. Ooh, foreshadowing. Now, brother, better make this fun, he whispered with an ever-so-light chuckle. Itadori looked over in his direction, wondering what Mahito was so happy about, but gave up asking when all Mahito could offer was a wide smile for an answer. Suddenly, a huge black hole appeared, and from it came villains. Huh? No All Might. Thought he was going to be here based on the info we'd gotten, a villain said as it took a look around the facility. The day before, there'd been an odd breach in UA's security. For the villains to have received information about All Might's class, it was clear they'd been aided by someone inside. Thoughts like this raced through Aizawa's head. Take care of the kids. I'll handle them, Aizawa said to 13 while he raced to confront the villains. I'm sorry, but you won't be going anywhere. You see, we're the League of Villains, and our goal is to kill the #1 hero, All Might. Till he arrives, you won't be going anywhere, the warp villain Kurogiri explained, preventing the students from evacuating. Die, loser! Bakugo yelled as he charged at Kurogiri, his hands bubbling with explosions. Kirishima took Kurogiri's right flank, aiming to attack the villain from both sides. Let's do this! Itadori yelled as he launched himself in the air. He raced towards Kurogiri with a pulled-back fist, driving towards the villain. Their attacks did nothing. No solid contact was established with the villain, to the shock of the three boys who now collided with themselves. Itadori was sent rolling on the hard ground. Huh? What the heck? He wondered to himself as a portal appeared beneath him. He was sent falling into a different location entirely, dangerously about to land headfirst on the ground. He couldn't halt his momentum, so he crossed his hands over his head and hoped for the best. Thud. He hit the ground, but not how he thought he would. The ground was soft, muddy at his particular location, and he'd been planted in the loose soil without much harm given the height he fell from, which wasn't too high to begin with anyways. But now, Itadori was in a bind. He was trapped in the earth with only his legs above ground, with absolutely no air. He wriggled and struggled to free himself, but couldn't. The boy wasn't sure how long he could last there. Meanwhile, he felt numerous footsteps all over his location, which he was sure belonged to the villains. His classmates weren't so large in number. Itadori felt hands on his legs as he began to fade from lack of oxygen. Was it a villain? Or an ally? He couldn't tell, but he knew the moment he was pulled out, he would act first. Itadori was plopped on the mud, gasping for air. His eyes were caked with mud, so he couldn't really see much. The person who'd rescued him hadn't said anything, so he took the opportunity to strike first. A quick open palm strike was sure to disorient whoever had helped him. Itadori was definitely sure his savior was an enemy. He came up short. Itadori couldn't make contact with his hit, but in an instant, a cold wave swept his being, freezing him in place completely. His body became cased in a thick layer of ice. "I presume this is how you thank someone where you're from?" a voice coolly said. Itadori knew he'd heard this voice somewhere from class. Not a lot, though, since this person limited his words. Todoroki? Oh, I'm sorry, man. I couldn't really see you well. I got dirt in my eye. Mind letting me out?" Itadori replied, apologizing to his classmate. Todoroki obliged and melted the ice, freeing Itadori. He rubbed the dirt out of his eyes and saw what they were up against. Hordes of villains surrounded them. The only thing that warded them off was spikes of ice Todoroki had used to scare them off. But now, the villains were closing in on the two boys. "Don't get in my way." A stern warning from Todoroki to Itadori. Sure, he could handle all the villains by himself. "No can do, man. I'm a hero, you see," Itadori said with a smile, cracking his knuckles. The villains charged in. Itadori charged too, meeting the first one with a strong right hook. He weaved through the villains, ducking below a claw of another villain. He flipped forward, extending his heel right into the assailant's face. The villains he missed, Todoroki froze in place with his quirk. Itadori met a large villain, sharply dishing 3 consecutive blows to his stomach, sternum, and nose. Then he ducked low and swept the big man's feet out from under him with his outstretched leg. Itadori drove his elbow into someone's face. The receiver groaned in pain. He ran up to meet someone with a strong arm, throwing a huge blow. "Test of strength? Bad idea, though," Itadori said. He connected his fist with the villain's, activating his quirk. He sent the villain and a lot of people behind that villain flying from a shockwave. Itadori looked around to see a fast, rushing wave of ice heading towards himself and the rest of the still-standing villains. "Whoa, not even a warning? Not cool," Itadori said, leaping high into the air, just in time to avoid the wave of ice that froze the villains in place. "Yeah, I think we should be done here. Let's go meet up with the others." "Hey, you're leaving without me!" Itadori said with his back to Todoroki, only to turn around and see the boy walking off without him. He hurried on to catch up with him. The boys were greeted with a horrific sight. Their teacher, Aizawa, battered and bruised, while a black burly figure loomed over him. Their classmates, Asui and Mineta, were face to face with another villain, who strikingly appeared to be the brains behind the operation. "Looks like we're gonna be the main act here, huh, Todoroki? I'll take the mean-looking guy while you go help out the classmates," Itadori declared. He didn't give his classmate time to contest his decision as he ran towards his teacher's aid. Itadori slid in with a strong fist, ready to wall up the figure's midsection. It looked far from human and huge, highly unpleasant to the eyes, but nothing a little battering couldn't fix. Itadori knew hitting someone of this stature would incur a rebound, so he instantly activated his quirk on contact to send the villain flying. Huh? Nothing happened. It seemed like the villain's body ate up the shockwave. The attack didn't even leave a dent. The attack grabbed the Nomu's attention, even though it was unfazed. It swept out its arm with lightning speed, aiming to swat Itadori like a bug. Itadori had just barely seen the attack coming and managed to duck below it as the villain's hand passed over his head. He knew he'd be in big trouble if his body took that attack. But Itadori wasn't going to be disheartened or afraid. He was now inside of the monster's guard when he ducked low. Itadori delivered another fist to the Nomu's jaw, but still, like the former impact, it was absorbed, and the Nomu was unfazed. Itadori managed to slip out quickly and put distance between himself and the Nomu before he got caught in a trickier situation. He began rethinking his options. All his attacks were getting absorbed without even a dent. But there was one attack he could try. It was the same attack he'd used to take down the Zero robot during the entrance exams that secured his entrance into UA. "I guess I'll have to use that," he said as he pulled back his right foot. He crouched his knees and took a deep breath. The blue aura around his right fist began to darken and intensify with crackles of energy. He closed his eyes to focus and flashed them open with ferocity. "Overdrift!" Itadori yelled. With a blast, he shot towards his opponent in an instant. The Nomu sensed the impending danger in the attack and looked to meet it with a fist of its own. The attack was his strongest yet. By focusing, Itadori was able to take the full force of the attack and repel it. Not only a fraction this time, but that wasn't all. He was also able to multiply the magnitude of the force, making it many times deadlier than it originally was. With it, he had easily taken down the Zero robot during the entrance exams. Now he planned to use it again, this time on the villain. On the sidelines, Todoroki was facing off with Shigaraki and Kurogiri, two villains who were posing a serious threat to the young lad, but he was sure he could hold them off until help arrived. Itadori got in close enough to throw his blow. He saw the Nomu plan to counter it with a fist, but there was no way he could alter his move with how fast he had to move. Knuckles hit Knuckles, this time with a blast of air. The sheer force of the attack of the Nomu, plus the compound attack of Itadori's quirk, caused the Nomu's frame to ripple. The arm it used to counter Itadori's strike seemed crushed from the impact. It almost seemed like Itadori's attack had worked, but immediately, the Nomu regenerated from its injuries. But how? Itadori wondered. He panted heavily, visibly exhausted. Using overdrift left a huge toll on his body, considering the inhuman amount of energy he had to expend to perform it. And now, he was left helpless.
Nice try, boy. But that Nomu was created to take down All Might. There's no way you hope to take it down.
Shigaraki mocked from where he stood. He made a slight gesture with his hand, which the Nomu reacted to immediately. The creature instantly balled its fist and threw a huge blow that caught Itadori in the chest. The impact sent the boy straight into the wall of the building, with a trail of blood. A huge cavity was created in Itadori's chest, as he laid in the crater, wide-eyed and motionless to the horror of his classmates.
Itadori!
And that's our video for the day, so thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope you did. Anyway, before I go, there's a little bit of housekeeping to do. First, We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing pleasures. All the information you'll need is right below in the description, so please feel free to check out all the other incredible content our team creates. Second, on behalf of We the Celestials, I want to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details are also in the description. So that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome! This has been Tim, Mustache out.